Hi there. Thank you for tuning in. Gorgeous day here in the Berkshires. We're actually lumping a few of them together, so I think we're safely in spring. We can hope that we are. So I don't know about you, but this last week for me has been flying by. It's been full of a lot of um, roller coaster, but I really like roller coasters, so I'm not sure that's a great analogy for everybody. But the energy's been doing this, and I understand from a astrological point that Uranus is making itself known, and don't really know a lot about the bugger, but from those whom have it in their chart where it must not be supporting as much, they're not pleased this week. So I guess all I could say is you have a choice about hanging on to that roller coaster and making a grimacing face, or you can put your hands up in the air and be all excited about it. So this week for me has been extremely exciting. Last weekend I lived, oh, you can see, I lived through the half marathon, survived it. It was hard. It was extremely hard this year. But I'm proud of myself for completing it and for some of the thought patterns that shifted as I was running. There's some funny ones in there, absolutely hysterical around mile 11. But it helped me to realize that the pressures that we put on ourselves that just don't make a heck of a lot of sense. I've always said that the Olympics are not there at the end trying to recruit me. Although if Ultra's looking for a good spokesperson, I certainly buy enough pairs of the shoes. I would be happy to sign on. So this week, as I went through that, the night before, my house went under contract, and then I ended up signing on the condo that I wanted this week, and it's flowed. I don't like that word, but anyway, it's gone in a very nice pace, and I'm very excited about it. And I, of course, share it. I think that when people share when they're up and when they're not so great, that we can become part of that supportive community. But it's really nice to hear good news. I love when somebody's telling me that they're doing something that lights them up. I don't have to like what they're doing. But I'm so excited to hear all good news. And some of that is, I just think, a space that we could strive to be in to get rid of the competition. I think coming from a place of self-inspiration is good, and even seeing like someone has something over there, great that they have it. I would like something similar in my own life. This is how I'm going to get on it and create it. The reason this is coming up is I have received a few messages this week from people, and you can tell by the sarcastic grin that's going across my face that I didn't take it too deeply. But it amazed me that I had so many people contact me to say that I really shouldn't be sharing my joy at the level I was sharing it. Well, I'm sorry. I get excited if the rabbit jumps across the floor, the flowers I found in my backyard last night. I think that life is for living, and I think it's to be joyful. And I used to edit all the time and not show how much fun I was having, and I decided that doesn't work for me. So this week, in some of the messages, now I want to be clear, 99.99999% of people have been so amazing, and I hope riding right along with me in the amazement of what this universe can present. But there are a few. And then I got thinking about it, and I'm like, well, aren't there a few? There's those that come in as the naysayers, right? It can't all go well. It can't all be good. Or my favorite one this week was, I'm in denial of this process. Well, I don't know what the hell that means, because the person doesn't even know me well enough to know what my process is, because no, I don't spill all my crap all over Facebook. Come into an office, I'm willing to share with you. But the People who are showing up, though, I've known that they have this contrariness about them, but and I've normally just rolled with it, right? I didn't say too much because it's not my job. Well, it is my job. It is my job to help you shift your energy, but only if you come to me and you want my help. So most of these people aren't going to grace my door, so it's fine. But it got me thinking, like when you are sharing information, like maybe you somebody bought your coffee in front of you in line that morning, or the fact that it is gorgeous out there, or that your kids or your grandkids did something adorable, and then somebody swoops in with that negative comment. Like what does it do to your perception of what you've just experienced, or what you were sharing? I get it from an energetic perspective that you're here and their energy may be here and they just don't want to come up here, so they need to bring you down to them or try to bring you down. You only go down if you agree to. So one of the things that I decided was there's no way I'm lowering my vibration or negating that this is really exciting and that it can grow exponentially from here if I hold my my joy about it. And yes, it's hard work. If anybody out there has ever tried to clear out a house by themselves, after I get rested, call me. If somebody, I'll help you do it. Maybe a day. I'm not going to stay there for the whole thing. It's exhausting. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of planning that goes on in addition to the rest of your life. So, of course, when you reach that space in this example of someone coming in and wanting the property that you put so much love into, it feels good. So when they're trying to lower your vibration, I feel like we now have to step into a place. There's enough out there that's doing that we have to step into a place where we're not going to permit that anymore. So the naysayers, or like Stacey said, the Debbie Downers, I completely agree that when that like attracts like, and we can't always be in this heightened space, but that's okay. That's the roller coaster. That's the fun, right? The process of recognizing that these people in your life may mean that we have to make a change, right? So previously, I may not have said anything to them. I would have just let it go and figured it wasn't worth my breath. But I decided this time that no, that's not okay. And I was polite, well, at least my terms, but I did say to them, I hear that you might experience this in a different way, but this is how it works out for me. Even to the point where when one of them said, don't get too happy. What the hell does that mean? But don't get too happy. Something's bound to happen. And I said, okay. And I'll get happy about that too. So good luck with you. So that's why I decided to use Billy Joel, because the song came up in my head of, I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. They don't necessarily have to leave me alone, but if they want to be in connection with me, they can have their own expression and opinions, but not tell me how I have to process it. So when you're interacting with someone, it's like that's in that Debbie Downer or the naysayer, just freaking miserable energy, you have to maintain such a sense of self. So you would want to develop that initially. And I know I didn't get pulled off my rocker this week by them because I just don't believe what they're saying. And I know it comes from their own lack in their life, but, call it approaching another birthday or been through what I've been through in life or knowledge. I don't think my being miserable is helping anybody. And I don't think me agreeing with someone who wants to stay miserable is helping them. So there have certainly been enough people who have decided to use, other side, exit door, to leave my circle because they didn't like the way I saw life. So keep knowing oneself and what matters to you and what doesn't matter to you is the preemptive work to being able to interact with those who wants their own, like that misery loves company, like they want to stay in that because maybe that's what they've known. Maybe they think that that makes them a tough character or something, and maybe they're afraid of their own vulnerability in being open to joy coming into their life, and maybe they wouldn't know how to handle it. So knowing self is the first step, I think. Keeping calm. Yes, everybody has a right to express and to speak of what they believe. But when it crosses a line, and one person told me that they thought I wasn't processing emotions, I'm leaving the house that my husband and I have had together, and that I obviously wasn't dealing with the emotions. I could have argued back, denied, or stated my case, but I just didn't say anything. I just let it float in the air, and then decided that I actually said to them, my process is a private process. And if you haven't seen it, it's because you're not in the circle in which I trust to share that process with. But just so we can clear things up, I really am very excited about this. And I feel like he would want me to be excited about this. So the keeping calm keeps the energy in your space, and it doesn't feed whatever they're trying to get out of it, because low vibrational energy needs more energy to keep going. High energy, joy, excitement, curiosity, love, all of that actually doesn't need a lot to create more, to manifest more. The lower one takes more oomph. And I think we have a natural inclination to try to raise our vibration. So we're always climbing up through that if we stay in the muck. So if you're calm, typically those that want to share their opinion or tell you how to live your life will go away because they're not getting fed by your nervousness or anxiousness about being around them. And then you may have to decide that these are no longer beings that you want to interact with. And you may have to decide what you share with them and what you choose to keep of your own tribe. Because your vibe attracts your tribe. I used to have that sign. Oh, I do. It's right here. Hey, John Kroll. So your vibe attracts your tribe. Haven't hung it up yet, but this is really important, because if you're attracting a tribe around you of those who don't necessarily believe in you or believe that you could experience something, it's like constantly tripping over your feet. The momentum to move forward is difficult. But if you look around and decide that, okay, maybe I've outgrown this tribe, maybe this tribe is no longer in my best interest, even by making that acknowledgement and becoming aware of it, you will start to see people shift. You'll start to see different people come into your life. So you may have to decide, even if it's family, especially if it's family, to speak up. And that takes a lot of courage. But I think if you've already addressed the fact that these people could possibly leave your life, it doesn't take as much courage because you've already dealt with the energy. I had someone in who didn't know how to say to her family members that what they were doing, they thought from a loving place, but they forgot to consult her. Kind of left her out of the mix. She didn't know how to say that her new arrangement wasn't working for her. And when I suggested she speak up, poor thing started choking, which is that throat chakra, right? Which is about being able to speak and being able to hear what it is that you want in your own life. So we backed it up to, why don't you think about it, see how you feel, and then move incrementally into speaking. It doesn't have to be a showdown or a confrontation. You can process a lot of that on your own, shift your own energy, and then go into the conversation, which a lot of people don't do. They usually just roll right in. So what she wasn't, she was holding on to anger and resentment and all of that stuff around the situation, but she never spoke up. So when I said to her, well, you have to hold your responsibility here because you never had the conversation. I'll admit, for a moment, I had a feeling of being in the principal's office, like I was now in big trouble. But that sunk in eventually, and she realized it was true. So no action needed to be taken on her part immediately, except for the meeting with self to say, this does not line up. And that ability to look at what resonates and doesn't resonate in your life, and then hold a space of acknowledgement for it, and then speak up if necessary. It's tough, but I think it's necessary if you want to have fulfilling relationships. If you want to stay on the surface, fine. Stay with the circle that doesn't ask much of you to grow, including yourself. That's great. I mean, everybody has a choice. So we all come from our own perception, right? So the people who were suggesting that maybe I was blowing my joy out of proportion were coming from their perception of feeling like, you know, that expression of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And they're coming from that limited space that, well, if something's good over here, there must be something that's equally terrible over here. And while I do believe there's balance in the universe, that's not how it works. We all process through, and we have experiences in life that we need to face as beings. But I have seen it happen in people's lives when they shift to this place of possibility and then a belief that it can happen for them, that these amazing things just line up, myself included. And yes, I fall out of it and then get back into it, and then fall out of it and get back into it. But I consider that to be an ab workout for my spiritual skills. You want to develop a six-pack there as well. So what I'm asking of you to ask of yourself is to start really listening to the conversations that are going around you, and the conversations that you're participating in. And if you're sharing joy and there's anyone there who immediately wants to bring the yeah buts, or be careful because, or who do you think you are, which is really the statement that was behind some of those advice givers this week, just take some time to contemplate what you want your response to be. It could be the lyric of, pay attention to your own life and leave me alone, if they're not someone that is especially close. So this process isn't much different than anything else I've asked you to do in looking at what do you like, what do you want, where do you want to be. But this is the heavy lifting. Okay, this is where you actually start to put it into practice of being able to say to someone, great statement is that type of thinking doesn't work for me. Thank you for offering it. I'm going to stay where I am. For those that are dealing with like a close family member, I think you have to decide, is this your life? That was one of the things that I presented to my client was, well, I'm sorry, but I think this is your life and not the decision of other people in your life. She's perfectly capable. It wasn't about a capability issue. So being willing to say, this is my life, and this is how I choose to do this section of my life, whether that's moving, going out on your own business, deciding to have another child, deciding to get divorced, or deciding to sell your house when it fiscally does not make sense, but you know intuitively and joyfully that the house is just ready for another family to move in and raise their little people. So it may not make sense. Our life often doesn't make sense to other people, but if it's not making sense to you because you're listening too much to other people, that's on you. And that's your job to begin shifting. So we could start it with this week. There's a lot of energy around adding to what we talked about a couple weeks ago with the low tolerance and people just feeling like they've reached a level with subjects or relationships or jobs or all that kind of stuff. This is the next level. So be mindful of what's working for you, what's not working for you. Don't have to address it with the person right in front of you at the moment, but you would be wise to take a little inventory and then decide for yourself, how will you speak up in your own world? How will you decide that when somebody says you're absolutely insane for running 13.1 miles, don't forget the 0.1 people, it's very important, that how will you handle that? Will you have compassion for the fact that they're afraid they can't even do a mile? Will you laugh and say, yeah, I am a little off my rocker, because you do have to be a little nuts. It helps you get through mile 10, 12, and 13. So, and will you stand in a place of honestly embracing who you are, who you agreed as a soul to come in and learn to be, and then build on that and expand? Because otherwise, I think you're gypping the rest of us too. You're gypping yourself, but you're also gypping the rest of us, because I, for one, want to hear every amazing thing that's going on in your life and high five you and begin to be in the space of supporting each other, so that we realize that the energy goes out exponentially. We're all gifted. We all have something that we bring this world, and minimizing it and limiting it just can't happen anymore. Well, it can if you choose to, but it doesn't need to. It can be such a beautiful existence when we're all embracing who we are, what we would like, and then being willing to do the action. This is not sit down and put a clicker. You have to be willing to say to people, yes, this can work for me. I wish you the very best in doing that. So let me know what your successes are. Let me know what you're striving for. And if I can help you reach those places of achievement, success, happiness, contentedness. I always miss that middle syllable. And also, if you need any help repatterning or moving around those statements that seem to get in the way. I'm so glad you showed up. Brenda, thank you for logging in, so I have someone here to share with, and all the rest who have joined in. And Angela, you've got this. All right, try to turn down that critic in the head, and just get excited about where it could possibly take you. That's the important part, right? We're all able to fly. We may as well take flight. So thank you. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and that if you're getting together with family and friends, you do some of this inventory. Barbecues are a very good place for that. So take care. Have a good day.